Hi, nice to be speaking with you all. Really happy to be here, although it does remind me how nice it is to be able to go to conventions in person, meet with developers, see new games, talk to folks I haven't seen in a while, learn new things, but it's just not the world we're living in right now. So I do appreciate speaking with you all like this, properly socially distanced from my home here in California. But excited to talk to you today about our Stadia Makers program, some of the support that we do for developers as part of the program, some of the requirements and how we look at content that might potentially be a good fit. But before I get into that, I'd like to quickly introduce myself. So my name's Kirk Lakes. I've been in the industry well over 10 years now, working in roles across marketing, business development, publisher and developer relations, predominantly with platform holders. And now in my current role at Google, I work on Stadia Games business development, so helping publishers and developers bring their games to Stadia, and specifically work with our Stadia Makers team overseeing that game portfolio and helping bring in new partners. One of the reasons I originally got into this industry to begin with is I really wanted to help the game creators find as large an audience as possible for their games. It's one of the reasons I was so excited to join the Stadia team. I mean, our goals are so closely aligned. At Stadia, we're really focused on lowering the barriers for discoverability when it comes to games, really helping developers find new audiences, but also helping people instantly find games they want to try out and play them without having to have any barriers or consoles or hardware to purchase up front. The other thing that's really exciting about our Stadia team is across the board, we have so many folks that are really excited about independent developers, independent games, and publishers who are focused on indie games. But when we originally launched Stadia in November of last year, we had way more studios apply than we could actually work with at the time. So we've spent the beginning of this year really improving some of our internal processes, tools, and building some programs we're really excited about that are going to enable us to work with more of you developers out there and bring more of your awesome games to Stadia. So one such program, which I'm actually here to talk to you about today, is Stadia Makers, which we announced March of this year. And even more recently, we announced the first 7 titles that are coming as part of the Stadia Makers program. At its core, what Stadia Makers is a program focused on developers who are building their games on Unity that want to bring them to Stadia. We spent a lot of time really crafting a program that would help developers throughout different aspects of the game development, all the way through publishing their games on Stadia. Working closely with our partner Unity, who is also helping when it comes to technical support. Without self-publishing currently available on Stadia, this is really a way for us to not only help developers, but also make it an easier process for bringing your games to Stadia. So let's talk a little bit about what that support actually is for developers. First and foremost, and one of the most important things is we provide direct funding. So whenever you're bringing your game to a new platform, there's some costs associated with it. So we're happy to provide some funding to help cover that. But the funding is not just to de-risk development of bringing your game to a new platform. We've been hearing from developers that the funding has been critical in expanding their team during important parts of development, or even bringing some content that was planned for post-launch and rolling that into the initial commercial release. So every time we get feedback like this, it's super validating and exciting for the team, because that's the exact reason that we're happy to do this for developers and make it part of the program. Another benefit is we provide development tools. So depending on the size of your team, we can actually provide up to 5 physical development kits for your team to use. But one of the nice things about Stadia and being a cloud platform is you can actually give your team members access so they can do development and testing right in the cloud. Now, this has always been a really neat feature of having a cloud platform, but man, has it never been more important given the state of the world right now. With development teams being spread apart, not being able to go into the office, working remotely, not having access to some of their tools. We've had a lot of really good feedback about this increasing productivity for teams and letting them continue to move along their roadmap without having to make delays or go to the office to pick up a kit and bring it home. And then last thing I'll mention when it comes to support is our partner Unity with Stadia Makers has been committed to providing technical support for all our Makers partners. And they've really been fantastic, from just answering questions in their forums to providing support when it comes to meeting your milestone dates or making sure you meet your launch date, providing reviews of content. They've really been fantastic, and we're looking forward to have them continue to provide technical support as we bring on more Makers partners. And one of the other questions we get asked a lot is, well, how do we know if our game's a good fit for Stadia Makers? What are the requirements? So happy to talk a little bit more about this. One thing I'm really proud of with our team here at Stadia is we've tried to be as developer friendly as possible when it comes to these terms and requirements. One really good example is there's no exclusivity required. So if you're publishing your game on Stadia, it doesn't have to be exclusive to Stadia, and you don't even have to launch first on Stadia. What we will ask is that you launch your game day and date on Stadia the same time you release on other platforms. And then one of the other criteria we look at is making sure your team is in a supported Stadia development country. The reason this is important is we need to make sure that your team will have access to our Google data centers with a Stadia instance that they can actually test during development and have access to test on what is, unique in that it's a cloud platform and you're going to be in a streaming environment. And then one of the last requirements we have, as you've heard me repeat over and over, is our partner's Unity. So we, of course, will want your game to be built on Unity's game engine. And even more specifically, we'd look for your game to be on Unity 2019.3 or later. If your game isn't currently on 2019.3, that's completely fine. Just one of the requirements will be you'll have to upgrade your engine to a later version. Depending on which version you're currently at, that could be a bigger or smaller ask, depending on how much testing you're going to need to see how that runs for you. So we've talked a little bit about the requirements. We've talked about how we look at supporting developers and the type of content we're bringing on. But a really good example of that is we've recently announced 7 titles that are coming as part of our first round of Stadia Makers games. Really excited to announce this. You may have seen some of the press and articles recently talking about this. But the reason I really love showcasing these games is it gives such a good indication of the breadth of content we have within Stadia Makers. Everything from point-and-click adventure games to traditional 2D platformers to narrative adventure games, even typing adventure games. So one of my favorites, actually, if you haven't checked out Nanotale, the game is amazing. But this is a really good indication of the type of content we're looking to continue to bring as part of Stadia Makers. You don't need to be making the next battle royale or card battler game. We're really just looking for awesome games from super creative teams that we can continue to bring to our gamers on Stadia. Now that we've actually announced those titles, we've been working with our development partners to promote some of these games as well. And they've done a fantastic job of not only evangelizing their own games, but also giving interviews to the press and outlets about their experience with Stadia and their experience and benefits of working with Stadia Makers program specifically. I think, of course, they can always tell about their experience better than I can, so I'll just tell you their quote specifically. But one of my favorites is Dima from FireArt, who said, and hitting the nail on the head, I might add, the most appealing fact of Stadia is it can be enjoyed by anyone with a browser without the need for a dedicated console. So this is a great example of what I was saying earlier, where our goal is really to lower the barriers for discoverability when it comes to games, so that the minute people discover your games, they can instantly jump in and start playing, whether they have a launcher installed on their PC or are an existing console owner. And another one of my favorite quotes comes from Bruno at Fishing Cactus, who said, because of the funding they received as part of Makers, they were actually able to make some of the features they were planning for post-launch a part of their initial commercial release, which, again, it's music to our ears. Nothing makes us happier than helping developers, realize their initial vision. And if Makers can help them do that, that's exactly what we're here for. So we've talked a little bit about the support you get as part of the Makers program, what the requirements are for content, and how we look at the type of content that might be a good fit for Makers, and even some of the feedback from our existing Makers partners. So if it sounds like Stadia Makers could be a good fit for a game you're working on and you'd like to get in front of the team, applying is actually super simple. All you need to do is go to stadia.dev/apply. Make sure you check the box that says you're interested in Stadia Makers. We'll ask some information about your game, the experience of your team, the release date you're targeting, what type of game you're making. just some general questions so we can get a better feel of the project you're working on. Once you've applied, myself and our Makers team will actually review those applications, look at to make sure the requirements I mentioned earlier are all check those boxes. And if it's a good fit, our team will get in touch and talk about next steps for moving forward with Stadia Makers. If you apply and the game's not a good fit for Makers, we'll send you a note and let you know. But that's no problem at all. There's obviously opportunities on Stadia outside of Makers as well. So even though your game might not be a good fit for Makers, myself or some of our other content team may review your application, love what you're working on, and get in touch to talk about other opportunities on Stadia. So really looking forward to seeing more of you apply through stadia.dev and seeing more of the projects you're working on. All right, folks, so that's the high-level overview of Stadia Makers. With our recent announcement of the first games that are coming, I know I've been getting reached out to a lot by publishers and developers asking for more information on the program, asking how they can get involved, how we think about content. So hopefully this answers some of those questions for you. We're all looking forward to seeing more of you apply, seeing more of your games, seeing what you're all working on out there, and just bringing more of your awesome games to Stadia. So thank you so much.